We strongly warn against any further act of aggression by Israeli terrorist regime against our national security and vital interests. Iran is fully prepared to take further defensive measures if necessary to protect its legitimate interests and defend its territorial integrity and sovereignty against any act of military aggressions and the illegal use of force. In this regard, Iran will have no hesitation.
Only a few days ago, the world saw the brutality of Israeli terrorists dropping bunker buster 2,000-pound bombs on civilian targets in Yemen. They said that they were targeting Houthis, but instead they were destroying the power plant and a port. And the minions on social media, they were taking those videos and sharing it just to say, what a great defeat that Israelis had inflicted on Houthis. Essentially, this news was being widely celebrated by the supporter of this genocide in the West. We were told that this would break the bone of Houthis and they wouldn't be able to attack commercial ships in the Red Sea again. They were wrong. How do we know that? Because Houthis have just proven them wrong. A video released by Houthis show how a drone boat carrying explosives crash into British oil tanker, triggering a huge explosion. You have to see the video. It's quite extraordinary. I mean, I've seen drone, but this is the first time I'm seeing a drone boat. I can see how it's being controlled by Houthi fighters. Even though these people on the tanker are pleading for help and asking them not to do that. I'm told that this explosion took place on Tuesday. But the video has gone viral now. I can't show this video here for obvious reasons, but you can see that video on my Telegram channels. Details on the screen. The British ship in question has been identified as Cordelia Moon. However, some reports say that the ship had a flag of Panama. Such was the extent of the explosion that the ship was engulfed into flames as a massive blast ripped through its port side tank, which is in a real term is called the left side of the ship, sending thick plumes of smoke billowing into the sky. When I first saw the video, I thought it was AI generated video. But now it has emerged that this is indeed a real explosion. And Houthis have indeed managed to hit another Western oil tanker. Because last time, if you remember, when they targeted a British oil tanker, Americans had expressed outrage, saying that the tanker was carrying 1 million barrels of oil and it was on its way to Greece, even though other reports said that it was on its way to Israel. Only last week, war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu was moaning about Houthis dropping ballistic missiles into Israel.
2 weeks later, the Iran-backed Houthis in Yemen launched drones and missiles at Israel, the first of 250 such attacks, including one yesterday aimed at Tel Aviv.
And only 2 days ago, 2nd of October to be precise, the US State Department claimed it had taken quite a substantial action, a tough action against Houthis to degrade their military capabilities further. This is a claim the US and the UK have been making since January to justify their bombing. In a new statement on Wednesday this week, the State Department said, and I quote, "The United States is today imposing sanctions on one individual and 3 companies that have facilitated weapons procurement and smuggling operations for the Houthis. These facilitators and suppliers have enabled the terrorist group to acquire dual-use and military-grade materials and components needed to manufacture, maintain and deploy advanced missiles and unmanned aerial vehicles that threaten the interest of the United States and our allies. Additionally, the United States is sanctioning one entity linked to illicit Houthi commercial shipments, as well as sanctioning that entity's 2 vessels, including one that has transported shipments on behalf of the network of Houthi financial official Saeed al-Jamal and an affiliate of Iran's Armed Forces General Staff. End of quote. The development in the Red Sea comes in the midst of a fresh tension between Iran and Israel. You all saw how Iran had pounded Israel with over 180 ballistic missiles this week, sending shockwaves across the world. Whilst Israel and its backer America have vowed to respond, Iran has said that Israel will face even more brutal force from Iran if it doesn't learn from its past mistakes. Clip.
Contrary to the regime which consistently considered innocent civilians and civilian infrastructure as legitimate target for aggression and massacre, Iran's response has only targeted the regime's military and security installation with its defensive missile strike, because the Islamic Republic of Iran is grounded in ethical principles and noble teaching of Islam and full compliance with the principles of distinction under international humanitarian law. Madam President, distinguished delegates, the international community cannot afford to remain silent. We reiterate our call on this Council to respond with urgency and determination. The Security Council must intervene to stop Israeli continued aggression and war crimes against Lebanon, Gaza, and Syria, and to prevent the situation from escalating into a full-scale regional war. Furthermore, the Security Council must force Israel to comply with its obligation on the resolution this body adopted. Israel must fully implement Resolution 1701. Finally, Madam President, we strongly warn against any further act of aggression by Israeli terrorist regime against our national security and vital interests. Iran is fully prepared to take further defensive measures if necessary to protect its legitimate interests and defend its territorial integrity and sovereignty against any act of military aggressions and the illegal use of force. In this regard, Iran will have no hesitation.
This was the Iranian ambassador speaking in the Security Council. The problem with the US and its proxies in Europe and the Middle East, such as Israel, is that they think such actions would help them hide their crimes against humanity. But they won't. They're refusing to deal with the root problem. And what is the root problem? The root problem is the illegal occupation of Palestinian lands. You stop that illegal occupation, hand back the land to the people who it legitimately and legally belong to, end the genocide, and face the consequences for your war crimes. It's as simple as that. There will be a peace in the Middle East if the US stop sponsoring terrorism and do the things that I have just highlighted. Because the root of the problem is the US sponsored terrorism, US sponsoring terrorism in the Middle East through its proxy settler colony called Israel. It's that simple. They know it, but they wouldn't practice it. They wouldn't implement it. Instead, they want to put the region on fire. They killed over 1 million people in Iraq in 2003 illegal war. And they are hell-bent on repeating that again. Anyway, that's it from me. Thank you very much for watching this video. And thank you also for your support of this platform on buymecoffee.com and Patreon. If you too think that this platform is worth supporting, then you too should become part of it. The details are there in the description of this video. In the meantime, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so, because that's one of the many ways you can support independent journalism. God bless you all.